Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another chapter of Experiencer Interviews. And today we've got another amazing story, another amazing soul coming to us from the US. Her name's Jacquelin Smith. Jacquelin Smith is an internationally known star and animal communicator, light linguist, certified hypnotherapist, and author. She's a hybrid and has been communicating with star beings, interdimensional beings, and animals since early childhood. She communicates with a wide variety of star races, including Mantis, tall White Zeta Masters, and many others. Jacquelin is also a hypnotherapist and assists people with processing their experiences with star beings, with connecting them to their star family. She does light language sessions with others and brings through star being music along with their star language, which activates a person to be more authentic and open to communicate with star beings and with speaking light/star language. Jacquelin's the author of Animal Communication, Our Sacred Connection with Animals, Star Origin and Wisdom of Animals, and her recently new book that just came out, Star Being in the Mirror, My Journey as a Hybrid. And I've purchased it and I highly recommend it. It's an awesome book and there's a lot of good information in this book as well. So highly recommend it. So Jacquelin, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me on today. I've been really looking forward to this.
To get into your story, I usually, where are the questions? Okay. A lot of experiences, they tend to have stuff happen to them as a kid, but I believe you've got pre-birth memories as well.
Right. So before I was born, my soul had chosen to come in as a hybrid. And so as that process was going on, I was watching from spirit, when I was in spirit, as they were injecting my mother. They had taken her on the ship when she was pregnant with me, and they had injected me with, we could say, a DNA cocktail of 7 different, from 7 different races, the DNA. So I was able to watch this while I was in spirit form, communicating to the tall White Zeta Masters and watching this whole process take place, before I was born.
Wow. So was your mother a hybrid as well?
Well, my parents definitely are part of the star lineages or ancestry. So, the star beings typically follow the family ancestral lines, that they have been following for a very long time. And so they are not hybrid in the sense that I am. I mean, in the larger sense, we're all hybrid, but I'm just kind of defining this as I was genetically altered.
I see.
And so not everyone is genetically altered. So within my DNA, I have 7 different star essences or DNA in my DNA, which so that's how I kind of identify myself as a hybrid or multidimensional hybrid, or however you want to say that.
Yeah. Okay, but does your mom recall being on the craft?
No, and they had actually blocked her memories, and my father's as well, because they knew that my parents would not be able to handle those memories. It was just too much for them, and so, and that's okay. That worked out fine.
Okay. Oh.
My mother always knew I was different. And she would say that to me sometimes, you're really different. So I think on a subconscious level, she knew, but on a conscious level, she just wasn't aware of it.
Okay. So let's get into your childhood. Now, in what environment did you grow up? Where did you grow up? And can you get into the experiences that you had? Because I suppose, did you know you were a hybrid, or did that memory or eventually come back to you?
Yeah, that came later, although I've always known I was different. Felt like I didn't fit in anywhere. And I had, I'm from mid-Ohio, and I had a difficult time in school because starting around the age of 3 or even before, I was on the starships almost every night learning light language and learning in a whole different way. So in school here, when I went to school, it was very challenging because it's linear here, and light language, star languages are not linear, they're multidimensional. So I had a very challenging time learning how to read. It didn't make sense to me that it was so linear on the page. And the alphabet was a challenge for me. And also, like, learning how to tell time was a challenge for me because, again, on starships and that, I was learning in a way that was not linear, and there's no time on a starship. So trying to read these little numbers on the clock, to me, I could not grasp it. It took me a while. So as a child, those things were very challenging for me to do and to try and fit in. And so, but as I progressed, and of course I was able to learn and write and do all of that. And so I was on the starship starting again around the age of 3 and loved it. When I was on the starship, I felt like, we don't have words for it, but I felt like I was in heaven because there is only unconditional love on the ship I was on. And we don't have that kind of unconditional love existing here on Earth. And it was just beautiful, wonderful. My star parents, I call them my star parents because they are the ones who helped to create me, and I have their DNA as well as others like Mantis and Celestial Being and Arcturian Zeta and Zeta and some others. And so on the ship, it was no duality whatsoever. All the beings communicated telepathically, a deep sense of quiet and peace on the ship. It really was amazing. And sometimes I did not want to go back to Earth, and I would cry, and they would say, that's your other home. So I felt like I had these 2 homes as a child. And they said, you chose to be in human form so that you could fulfill your mission on Earth in this life. Even though I've been a star being many, many times, they said, you've chosen this, and I love the Earth. I had become, I was placed before a council before I came in, and they said, do you want to be male or female? And I said, well, in many other star systems, there are other kinds of beings that aren't male or female. And I asked, is being male or female the only choice? And so they said, for your mission and going to Earth? Yes. And so I chose to be female. And so I love the Earth and all the species here, and I care deeply about the Earth and all the beings here. So I made that choice, and they would remind me of that when I was on the ship as a little girl. They would say, you chose to do this, your soul chose to do this, kind of like you're in a child's body, but you're not a child. Your soul has chosen this. So on the starship, it was like floating. It really wasn't like walking here on Earth. For me, here on Earth, walking is like walking through mud. And on the ship, it was just delightful because it was like all the beings would float. It was this floating feeling, because on the ship, it is a whole different environment. And so one of my favorite memories is I would like try and run up and down the corridors as a kid, and they would laugh in their own way because I would just want to run and explore everything. And they really let me do that on the ship. So that was a real gift to me, to be able to just be free and to be this child. And the tall White Zeta Masters, they are from Alpha Centauri B, or that neighborhood, they always say. And by the way, all these beings have a great sense of humor, and they're very clear in their communications. What I love about telepathic communication is it's very direct. There are not any misunderstandings like there are with words here on Earth. So everyone on the ship communicated that way. And I was very close to a being, I called him Sandman. He was like a nanny to me on the ship. He was an Arcturian Zeta. Mm-hmm. And so we had great fun on the ship. He and I would play games, all kinds of games like hide and seek and games like that, because what I had to offer them was I taught them, this might sound kind of weird, but I taught them nursery rhymes.
Really?
Because they are very interested in human emotions, but also our creative process and how we are as children, and just being human. And then from them, I was learning, telepathy, and all kinds of things. So they enhance my skills as a clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient.
I'd like to know more about like telepathy. I know being an adult, let's say as an adult, you're being abducted and everything's telepathic. You're basically an open book to them. And being from a duality, like you said, we tend to do, like, some of us might do bad things that we're ashamed of, but being with them, it's an open book. But as a child, you're new, you haven't had the time and to experience all of this. So I guess it's easier as a child to be telepathic with them, or as being an adult.
Yes, definitely.
So is it like something that you train with? Could anybody be telepathic, or you have to be genetically altered to have that ability?
Everyone can communicate telepathically. It is an innate gift that humans have. And with all the openings that are going on, more and more people are getting in touch with their innate gifts, with telepathy and being clairvoyant, and clairaudient, and clairsentient. Those gifts are there for us, and we really are in a process of those gifts beginning to unfold within us now, because of the shifting in energies that are going on.
You talked about being trained on the craft. Now, you started off at the age of 3. Was this like ongoing for many years?
Yes. Yes. And I loved it. What I loved on the ship is we were allowed to be children. We were allowed to play. There were 8 of us in a class, I'll call it a class. And we grew up together, you could say. And so some of the children in the class were from other countries, but we could all understand each other because we were communicating telepathically. Okay. And so some of the things we got to learn was we would create energy balls of light, and then we would kind of play catch like with a baseball, except it was with these energy balls of light. And then we learned how to create imagery or images from the light. It was kind of a step-by-step process for us. So then we could, with our minds, we could create like figures or holographic images of animals or plants or flowers. And so we would do this as a group. And we would also, with light, we had there were screens on the ship. They were green and kind of bluish screens. So what they would ask us to do is we had pens of light came out. So what they were teaching us to do was initially put that holographic image on the screen, and then we would learn to create that from our minds to do that. And we learned levitation, how to levitate objects, move them around, which always was fun. And one thing I loved is we would, again, tossing the balls of light around. There was one boy who, he was really funny. He would throw the ball of light against the holographic walls on the ship because they're holographic. And I could hear the sounds or the music that those balls of light would make when they hit the walls of the ship. And he loved hearing that, so he would do that. Oh, it was really funny and fun. So for me, I had a great time learning all this. And then we had an experience where the 8 of us were in a bubble of light, or you could call it out in subspace, outside of the ship. Nothing above us, nothing below us. We were just out in space in this bubble. And they were teaching us about other planets, other star systems, and Earth as well. So we could see Earth from where we were at that time. And so they were saying, this is where you're living as a human.
Wow.
And just kind of showing us the energies of the Earth and how much the Earth was needing assistance, support with helping to raise frequencies here for Earth and for species here. Because as we evolve, all species are evolving, not just humanity, and they're all in their own evolutionary process as well. And so I liked what one of the beings said to me was that we're more highly evolved than humanity, but we're not better. We're all from divine love.
Well, can you get, you talked about your nanny, or the Sandman, yeah. Can you talk about him?
Yeah, he was Arcturian Zeta. He had blue skin, and he had 3 fingers. He was about 5'4", he was a little shorter. And so he was with me often. And like I said, one of the games we used to play was hide and seek. So he would hide, and then I would have to track him down telepathically. So I was like tuning into him to feel where he would be at, to find him. And then when I would find him, he would laugh. Again, they have their own way of laughing. And then I would hide. And then he would look for me, kind of pretend, because he was very tuned in. And then he would find me, and it was a wonderful game, and we would laugh. He also taught me more deeply about telepathic communication, about the star beings in general. He and I would spend time with hybrid children. He would, whatever was going on with me, he was around, and also so were my star parents as well. So sometimes we would take naps, and there were these robes of light that we would put on to take naps.
Really?
And beds of light. So that would kind of, the frequency was fine on the ship, but we were kids also. So they made sure that we would rest in that. So it was like, I don't know how to describe it, but it was like light woven with silver and that, but you could put on the robe of light, literally, but it was kind of holographic.
Okay, so it's not really a fabric that emanates light.
Correct. It was light itself. Yeah, which is pretty amazing. And even now, when I remember that, I will imagine myself putting on that robe of light some days, if I am not at an energy level that I would like to be. I feel myself putting on that robe of light and how wonderful it felt, and it just kind of rejuvenated me.
How big were the ships? Can you describe them a bit?
What's the ship I was on? This is the main one I was on. The ship, it's hard to determine because they can alter how large a ship is or not. So I can, when I'm on the ship, again, the walls are holographic, it's an organic being. So when the ship and the star beings connect their minds and set an intention, then they can make it happen. So sometimes the ship can appear huge, and I'll talk about this a little later about a mothership I was on. It feels as large as a city, but if they want to, they could create it to be, the size of a house if they wanted to.
Yeah.
And it all depends on what dimension they're in, our frequency, because all the dimensions are frequencies. So, and I used to watch it. It's just so incredible. And they showed me how they did it. I got to watch them do that. They can change things around on the ship, like there can be a wall there, but then it can be somewhere else in an instant if they want to, or the same with doors. So there's nothing solid about the ship, from that sense. And it is really holographic. And the ship was, again, an incredible place to be on, because the ship itself is a being of unconditional love.
I felt that a few times with what she looked like, what you normally would describe as like an angelic or blonde hair, Caucasian female. But when I felt that the love coming from her, I called it like love radiation, because every cell in my body vibrated love, and it's really overpowering, at least to me. And I felt that, and I couldn't hardly move because you're in bliss. It's amazing. So
Yes.
yeah, I get really emotional hearing when you describe something similar.
It was just magnificent. And there were like staircases that would spiral up, but they were all light. But the beings would just kind of move up and down these incredible staircases of light, and going in different rooms. There were light codes to that you could work with before you went through a door and that. So it was pretty amazing, and crystals that were helping to navigate the ship that were like 8 feet tall. Just amazing beings, and a wide variety of colors, rainbows, rainbow colors, and colors we don't have here on Earth. Oh. And I always loved being by them because I would talk to them and they would talk back to me, all the crystals on the ship.
Have you ever seen like younger grays, like childlings?
Okay, are you talking about the hybrid children?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yes. And there's a wide variety of hybrids on the ship. I mean, there are all kinds of mixes of races that they have created, through the DNA. And so, I mean, it was one of my favorite things to be with the hybrid children. So we had our group of human children, and then there was a group of hybrid children, and we would interact often. So they would be teaching us more deeply about telepathic communication, levitation, all kinds of things. And we would be teaching them more about how to be human, their human side, because that's really important for them to learn about their human side as well. And so, and there were all kinds of hybrids. I mean, in terms of colors, there were there were blue hybrids, their skin was blue. Some were pink, some were black, some were yellow, pretty much the rainbow, which was really quite incredible. And I always loved being with them. I was close to one hybrid children. Her name was Azalon, which in tall White Zeta culture or language means shimmering starlight in the sky. And so I was very close to her, and we used to hold hands and, swing our arms around. And so I was helping her to learn how to play. And she was helping me. She helped me with learning, again, how to communicate telepathically in a deeper way. And so at one point she got sick. Her body just wasn't able to continue. So the hybrid children I loved deeply by the star beings on the ship. So they have a group who watches over the hybrid children, who takes care of them. And so when she was getting ready to leave, I watched this incredible process of them helping her to leave in a conscious way, to leave her body. And return to light. Yeah, it was very hard for me emotionally, but it was an incredible process to see her just return to light and leave her body. But many of the children are living in other star systems and very happy, because I do a lot of communication work with the hybrid children in other star systems. They tell me what they're doing and pass messages to people I work with. That's one of the things I do with people, is we connect them with their hybrid children. So, and there are artists. You know, some of the hybrids are artists. They're like engineers building bridges of light throughout the entire, throughout different star systems. So they're doing incredible work. I always consider myself a bridge, being a hybrid, that I can talk about star beings and the human side. And so they're kind of doing the same in other star systems. They are helping other beings to understand the human side of them, as well as the star being side of them. I recently communicated with one who would shapeshift into being human so that he could share with other star beings what humans look like. And
do you know why they do what they do? The whole purpose of the hybrid program, is it really to help seed other planets or to enforce a race, to make them stronger? Because I know humanity has been tampered with for a while, so it's a question that does pop up.
Yeah, so I do think, from what they have told me, and again, there's different hybridization programs depending on what race you're talking about. Also, they have different agendas. So for me, the ones who I was communicating with, they, the intention is to have them seed and work in other star systems, to continue to, in terms of humanity, to help humanity to continue to evolve. So like that's what I was told. That's why I'm here. I mean, we're all doing that in our own way.
Yeah.
So, but we're offering our frequencies here. And so for example, the hybrid children, they can't necessarily exist here on Earth. They just can't do it because their bodies have a difficult time. But they are now integrating more hybrids here on Earth. And I do have a daughter in another country who was one of my hybrid children, who is living here and has been living here successfully. She's working as a healer in another country. Now, I've not met her in person, but we communicate telepathically. And so the intention is to help humanity evolve, to help, again, bring out the innate abilities, or help them to remember that they have the innate abilities of telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and so on, to really evolve. So they are all bridges. So I feel that they have good intentions. It helps to serve everyone. I don't see from the beings I'm communicating with a negative side to it with the races I'm in touch with.
Let's see. Now, growing up, now you did talk about you having difficulties with at school, but later on in your early teens, early adulthood, how did you see life as a hybrid on Earth?
I thought it was pretty strange. I still think it's strange, but in that, the way society works in that, initially I come from a collective, my original star origin before I came in as hybrid in this lifetime. I came from a collective, from like 12 universes out from Earth. And so when I was a young child, I remember looking at legs and thinking how weird legs were, how weird bodies were, and just how things were here. And again, I still think it's weird. So crazy, right? So it was, as a child, again, that was very challenging, and it was normal in the sense of I like boys, and my girlfriends and I would talk about shopping and all that stuff. But I was also looking at the stars, wondering who's out there, where are they, and all that. And that was before all my memories had unfolded. But when I was in high school, I belonged to the UFO club. And so it just, it was just kind of there. And then when I was 14 or 15, standing in the backyard, just above the woods behind my house, a metallic craft showed up. Blue sky, no clouds, midday, sunshine. And there was this incredible saucer, and I'm just like looking at it. And 2 weeks before that, I was sitting on my bed. I was mad at my parents about something. I'm saying, like, I just want to get the hell out of here. And I was like putting energy out for a UFO to come. And that UFO showed up within 2 weeks.
Oh.
And I'm going like, wow. So they took me on the craft and were preparing me for the hybridization program. And then when they brought me back or dropped me off, then I watched the ship leave in a way, again, no words for this. It spun up so quickly, it's hard to imagine. And so that really was an incredible experience to have, and that my memories just have, unfolded throughout my life about.
So it wasn't like one big download that, of memories coming back to you. It was somewhat gradual.
Yeah. Yes. Sometimes it was a huge download.
Okay.
But later on, when I got in my 30s and that, but it's, I've had some pretty big downloads where it took me time, and I had to really process and reorient myself. So it's helped me to, better understand who I am, who I really am. And at the core, we are all divine love and light. And that's the basic truth of it all.
I don't remember anything. Growing up as a kid, I remember like being afraid of the dark, telling my mom there would be people in my room at night, and looking in the darkness, knowing that they're there. I was so afraid I'd sleep against the bedroom wall up until the age of 11, stuff like that. And after, when my brother was born, everything stopped. I started going to school, and that's when all the events stopped. And as soon as I finished college, all the events started off again. So growing up, I thought like just like a childhood stuff that, fear of the dark and all that. But all the like psychic stuff started kicking in, and the paranormal stuff started kicking in. And eventually I met up with people that put me on the path. So I'm really happy for that. Now you've had an NDE, I believe.
Well, I've had a couple actually.
Oh, good Lord.
I had one at the age of 6 when I fell down a flight of steps and went to the other side, and the angels and star beings were there for me. I remember the angels holding me, and they also took me on the ship to help heal my body.
Oh.
And so that's where my tall White Zeta Master family, they were on that ship along with Quabar, which is my very original star origin, when my soul first sparked out from the Creator. So they did healing work on me. And so the angel said, you know, you need to go back now. And I'm going like, no, I don't want to. And they're going, yeah, you're not, you know, gotta go back. So I came back. And so, but what's great is I remember being over there with the angels.
Mm.
And they like showed me my soul's light. It's hard to explain. And they said, this is you. This is who you really are. And it was pretty amazing. I'm going like, wow. And so, and they said, you have things to do on earth. You agreed, you know, to do things on earth. And so of course I came back into my body. And yeah, so it's what makes that challenging is you're in heaven, you're in this light and then this unconditional love, and then you come back to this density, which is tough enough for the body to adjust to. And I had a near-death experience later on. I think it was in 79, where I was driving and a woman turned her car in front of me, and I ended up driving into her and then into a telephone pole, and I was knocked unconscious. So I went to the other side, and again, the angels and star beings were there, and they said, we're here to support you. They did more healing work on me because I had a lot of injuries that happened in a car accident. And so they said, you're not done, you gotta go back. And so I was like in the hospital a couple of weeks or so, and I wasn't able, I was at that time working as a registered animal technician in an animal hospital. And so after that accident, I couldn't do that work any longer. The veterinarian didn't want me there because he thought I might hurt myself and sue him or something silly like that. So it put me on a whole new path leading into my animal communication work. And so it really was, they were saying, this is just the beginning of your journey now in a bigger way. And then I started doing the animal communication work. I was probably one of the first 3 animal communicators in the US. And so that was pretty incredible at that time because that wasn't going on at that time. So kind of had to deal with what others might think about that. You could be labeled crazy or not, you know, but it's, I've been doing that work 40 years professionally with animals and working as a psychic with people.
So do you communicate with the animals like telepathically? Is that what do you do?
Yes, I'm able to know what they're feeling, thinking. So when they send a telepathic image to me, my brain is able to translate it into words in a way that I can receive. Obviously, they're not sending me words. And so, and that work, again, I've been doing like for 40 years globally, and it's a great joy working with the animals. They're just amazing. And by the way, all those beings who we call animals are from other star systems. That's what my whole second book is about. They came to me and asked me to write that book, and at first I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And they said, oh, come on, you know. So I agreed, and they came to me, and I wrote down what they said and kind of interviewed them, asked them questions, and why they're here, why they're in partnership with humanity, what they look like. I got to see all of that, and I was blissed out the whole time I was writing that book. So the animals, those who we call animals in other star systems, they do not call animals. There's no categories for animals. They are just other beings. And all those beings know that they are one, which is one of the key messages of star beings, is that we are all one. So a dog or a cat, a snake would be considered an equal on another planet or star.
So what would be your life's mission? Really to help with the awakening process, or to educate humanity?
Wow, yeah, I think I feel like I'm here to assist others learning how to use their talents and skills. Like I teach classes on people how to communicate with animals and star beings. And also I created an e-course to teach people how to communicate with star beings, because since COVID and all of that, it's a nice way to be able to share that with people. I think that, you know, I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to be able to share my experiences about animals and star beings. To me, it's all kind of the same, you know, and that I think that one of the key messages that star beings always say to me, one of my star families, is to live from the heart and keep things simple.
It's beautiful.
Which I really love.
Can you talk about the mantis? I find them fascinating, and especially the fact that they're so different from us.
They're amazing.
Have you seen a lot of them?
Oh my gosh, I pretty much live with them. I have a lot of mantis in me. I have a lot of connection with the mantis, so they visit me often. The mantis are amazing beings. They are one of the most ancient races. They helped to co-create the cosmos. And what I love about them is they're master geneticists. So they can set up genetic codes and then manifest a being from that through setting up the genetic codes, and that they have the ability then to create a being from that. And they have the abilities to create other star systems. And there are other star beings involved who work closely with them, like the angels. The angelic group works with them a lot, and those who I call the dolphin-like races. So the mantis are childlike but not childish, and they have a great sense of humor. They make me laugh all the time. They're very endearing to me. They're at my house a lot, and because more recently they've been giving me a lot of downloads in terms of how to switch different genes off and on with the DNA, and how in terms of the junk DNA, explaining a little more to me about that, everybody thinks there's nothing to it, but there really is. And that's where really the star being, we could say DNA is, although it's interwoven multidimensionally through the being. And they're in the midst of teaching me quite a bit about that. I'll share one funny story where one morning I woke up and I opened my eyes and there were 7 mantis beings around my bed.
Wow.
And for me, this is, I live with this every day. I'm communicating pretty much with beings every day and working with people. So I'm going like, what's up, guys? And they said, we want you to get up and dance with us because they like to dance. And, they have families like we do. They have children like we do. They make music. They
Really?
create poetry. They have fun like we do. So I got up and put some music on, and there is a mantis dance. So I started doing this mantis dance with them, and my neck snapped, and they had aligned my whole spinal column.
Oh.
So it was like having a free chiropractic
Yeah.
treatment. So the mantis are incredible healers. Incredible healers. And they have a third eye. In their third eye, they have a laser that comes out and heals. I've experienced that.
Wow.
So it's pretty incredible. And there are 7 or 8 different groups of mantis beings that I've been communicating with.
Okay.
Who I identify by color, but it's really frequency, who have different, we could say, key different focuses for what they all do. Like the key healers, they're like a bright purple, neon green, and royal blue colors. How I see them, they're about 8 feet tall, have the mantis eyes. If anyone's seen a praying mantis, they look close to that, different but close to that. And
do they wear jewelry or clothing? 'Cause I've seen drawings of capes on them.
Yeah, it depends on the being. A lot of them do not, but some of them do. And they also love to try and, they can't really imitate being human, but sometimes they try to imitate being human, which just makes me crack up in an endearing way, not, but they also will, some races will like put wigs on or hats on and all that to look more human, to not freak out a person.
Oh.
Well, but they also enjoy, some of those aspects of playing with those things. And for them within their cultures, they also have certain, I call them robes of light that I see them in. And there's one mantis being, she's amazing, where she has like this crown and it looks like diamonds, but it's all these different amazing frequencies that she carries. And so she's a mix of hybrid and angelic.
Amazing.
And so she's here often. They've been hanging out here for weeks with me.
Oh, that's so nice.
I love them so much, and they're doing a lot of work here, with people. And
okay.
Definitely.
Now, is it always telepathic? Well, yeah, I'd imagine yes, but a lot of us that aren't telepathic and that have had contact with the mantids, you always hear the little clicking sounds.
Right.
So did you hear that a lot?
Yes, I hear their clicking sounds. And also on a recording, I made an audio recording of when the Mantis came through, doing a lot of clicking on that. And so people have been purchasing that. Many people want to know about the Mantis. So it's a very powerful activation. And for those activations where I make these audios, there are certain intentions you can set with those that will support the person, but it activates them in a really positive way.
Okay. Now, you've talked in your book about meeting Robert Fullington. Rob's a good friend of mine. I had him on the show a while back. So what happened with that meeting? How did you two met?
Yeah, it was funny. A mutual friend of ours, Cynthia Crawford, who has now passed on, she was pretty well known in the star community, made incredible, wonderful star sculptures. Yeah. So we were at a conference, and Cynthia had been trying to get us together for years, along with some other people, and it just hadn't happened. So we were at the International UFO Congress, and so Cynthia and some other people brought Robin through a door and brought me in through a door, and we looked at each other, and we just like stood there looking at each other, and we knew right away we had seen each other on ships. That was like instant. And so it was kind of overwhelming, I think, for both of us. So, and then he and I began to talk about being on a ship together, and our Mantis connection is very, very strong. And Rob also has my DNA. So when we had met in that, it was a gathering at Cynthia's house. So Rob and I were there with a number of other people, and Cynthia was bringing out her Mantis sculptures, which we all love. And Rob and I just turned toward each other and did the Mantis bow. And everybody was like watching, going, wow, this is wild, and loving it. And then Rob and I downloaded her sculptures, Mantis sculptures, with the Mantis frequency. And so that's how Rob and I met. We've been friends ever since, and he's a great guy. And so I'm grateful to know him. And
what is the mantid greeting? Can you show us, or are you allowed?
It's just kind of like meeting like this and then
okay.
that.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
This.
Wow.
But we did it just spontaneously, and
that must have been special. Wow.
It was very special. Yeah, it was very special. So
my girlfriend bought one of Cynthia's necklaces that had a mantid on it, and from that moment on, she started getting visions in the morning upon waking. So a lot of, as soon as you open your eyes, you start seeing images in front of you, and reptilians looking back at her, grays looking back at her. They've got wands, they've got pads, or sometimes she's got a vision and she's seeing them in the bedroom, opening the drawers, just like looking around, not like super curious, but just opening this and that and touching this. But
yeah, they're just as curious about us as we are about them, and they like to play. They definitely like to play.
Amazing. So, okay, growing, at what age did you start really talking about all these experiences publicly, at least?
Yeah, it took me a while to really begin to talk about these things publicly because I really did not want to be labeled as crazy.
Yeah.
And so it did take me a while, but I've really been speaking at conferences and interviews and that probably, gosh, for about 20 years. About 20 years. And used to speak at conferences here in town about all this, and people were really open to it.
Mm-hmm.
Made it easier for me to continue to step out and share. And so that's been really a huge deal.
Okay. Did you ever have any backlash from the government, from people regarding that? Because I had, so I'm just curious.
And join the group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they have been tracking us. You know, that they were tracking Cynthia, they've tracked Rob, they've tracked me and others.
Mm.
And so I can usually feel when they're around, when they are viewing me remotely.
Mm.
I can feel it and tell. So usually I have a way where I just will set up energy fields to block that.
Mm.
And I also just like to say to them, I know you're there. And one time when they were viewing me, because I knew this would make them go away, I just started to sing and dance, and I go, this will make you. So and so I think but I always feel that I am safe. You know, that's the intention I have always set, and I do feel that I am safe. And also, we haven't talked about this, but during, I call them my Thanksgiving experiences, where I had many experiences with star beings, seeing ships in the sky, and was taken on a mothership. After that, right after some of those experiences, there were helicopters flying back and forth in front of my house, not far away. And the woman who was with me, who had come over to take photos of this experience, because a lot of things shifted energetically, and there were geometric, sacred geometry in the snow, grass grew up overnight, all those kinds of things happened. And so she came over to take photos and that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we saw the helicopters going back and forth a couple of days later. And when I was writing about some of these experiences, the helicopter came directly over my house and hovered over my house. Oh. And did not move, I would say, for at least 30 seconds, which is a long time. And I knew what it was. I knew what they were doing, that they were actually trying to view what I was typing on my computer, because I was writing about my experiences about the mothership that had happened during Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And actually my neighbor came out of the house from across the street and was just standing there looking at the helicopter. And so I just got really quiet. I shut down all my files, and it just said, you guys can do whatever you want to. I'm sending you love and light. Mm. Maybe you learn something from what I'm writing about or not, whatever. So then they finally left. But that's happened off and on at different times earlier on in my life too, when I was
And what year did that happen? The Thanksgiving event.
2013.
Oh, can you get into that specifically?
Sure. It was amazing. The star beings asked me to go outside at midnight. And there were lots of starships in the sky. There were 7 or 8 starships in the sky. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And so I'm going, wow. And as I'm standing there, the portal opens up above my house. A starcraft flies right above me, shines light directly on me and into my eyes. And then just, again, goes away faster than anyone can imagine. But I saw it long enough that it was an organic looking being, kind of quasi-physical between, and it looked like a being. And so that happened. And then I called my friend Mary to come over and take photos, because grass grew up probably about this much overnight, which did not happen in my neighbor's yard. And I had a squirrel statue where the paw had been severed and was against my front porch. And I knew it was okay the night before. I have an owl statue where there was a molecular change on the wing, that it's a plastic statue where about this big, where the whole structure had changed and like melted down. And at the bottom, it was different. I have actually photos of all this in my book.
Wow.
And it was amazing to see that there was a little piece missing. And so that was, the results of that craft flying over. And then days later, the star being showed up and said, how would you like to, I saw a mothership in the sky, and they said, how would you like to go on the mothership? Well, they know me, I'm not going to turn that down. and they gave me a choice, you can go or not go. And I go, like, really,
Go.
for me, I would never. So they sent a scout ship. I felt like I was in a sci-fi movie. I looked out the window and saw the scout ship there. It was just like being in a sci-fi movie. And so they go, we're going to pick you up. And then the next thing I remembered, I was actually going into the starship on this craft, and this incredible huge opening. And they checked for my energy signature, and then I went in. And I got to see my star family. Their names are Amitha and Zazu. They are the tall White Zeta Masters. Sandman was there. All these other beings were there. So, and right before that had happened, Sandman actually showed up here in my neighbor's yard. I could see the skin was blue, and he would jump behind a tree and then come out. And he was like mostly physical. I mean, I could see his blue skin. There was snow, and that was deeply moving for me. And it's a good thing my neighbors weren't up, because I was like yelling at him saying, come out more, I love you, come out.
So he was playing peekaboo?
Yeah, you could say that.
A friend of mine had a gray. She woke up at night. So this is her in her bedroom, and so you open your eyes, and your eyes are, it's totally black. But as soon as she closed her eyes, her entire bedroom was lit up in her head, and behind her the curtains, by the window, there was a tall man, but behind that man was a small gray, like a youngling, and he was playing peekaboo.
Yeah.
So it was super cute. And but yeah, so that reminded me of that. Wow.
Yeah, and sometimes they're kind of shy,
Mm-hmm.
so they'll, but yeah, so on the ship, I was shape-shifting from my human form into my tall White Zeta Master form and into my other forms as well, depending on who I was speaking to, because there was a council of 88 beings, all different species from different star systems, and they were there for what we could say like an annual or semi-annual meeting. And then I found out I was like sitting on that console. So the beings were, you know, we can seem strange to them. Like there was a being who looked kind of like a warthog, and he came up to me and was sniffing me, you know, just trying to get a sense for who I was. And then, you know, for them looking at a human, we may not be so great looking to them.
No.
As somehow, you know, when humans look at some star beings and, you know, they're frightened or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, but we looked at each other's essences and then we remembered we knew each other. So that was wonderful. And then a lot of healings took place. I could talk 2 hours just about all that, but they did healings through my body and healings I was asking them to do. And I watched them do it. Initially, they set up like a screen memory. I go, forget it, you guys. I'm just looking through the screen memory at you. And so they just dropped it. And,
yeah.
you know, I was just watching what was going on. And one thing that was really wonderful was when I kind of came back from all of that usually I wore glasses reading my computer, and they put my glasses on, I couldn't read. They took my glasses off, I could read. So they had actually healed my eyes, which was really cool, and some other things. So being on a ship was like being in a city. Lots of healings were taking place. I did some healings on star beings and humans. And it was just like a huge homecoming. It was amazing. And when I came back, I knew they had taken me physically because my pillow, someone had taken the pillow case off my pillow, folded it into squares, and my pillow was at the bottom of my bed when I woke up, and I'm going, you know I didn't do that. And I'm going like, okay, I get it, you guys. You're telling me I was there physically. And just for the electromagnetic fields with my house, crystals were moving around by themselves. I would put a crystal down on a table. It would show up under my bed in 2 seconds. So it was an incredible experience to go through, you know, to experience. And it helped me put more of the pieces of my life together. For me, it was a spiritual experience. It because I went in different timelines and was cleaning up a lot of karma and things. It was a huge shift. And then I had to integrate my other star selves from my soul more deeply. And that took a while for sure I was integrating them. They were integrating me. It was a real trip, to say the least, for about a year after that.
This whole thing must have been an amazing journey, not to learn, to grow.
Amazing, and just amazing. And one really fun thing is after this too, they asked me if they could come visit my home, a number of gray beings, and I go, sure, you know. And so a portal was open in my basement, and I knew they were coming and when they were coming. So like 30 of them came through, and they were like running all over my house. It was like children playing, and it was the most fun I've ever had. So like they were quasi-physical, but they were physical. I could feel them. I could touch them and feel them. and they were touching my skin. They wanted to know what I felt like and touching my hair. And I put out some cookies in that because this is so cool. Because of being quasi-physical and that, they were able to absorb that and know what that cookie would taste like. So they were here learning, and I was just having a blast, and I was learning.
Mm-hmm.
And they spent a while here, kind of like they were swinging off the rafters, having a great time. And then they left and through the portal. But I called it my pajama party because it was so much fun. It was like, here I am in the middle of the night with all these beings here. Just amazing. And what was cool as well is a friend of mine who lived across the way at the time as a psychic, and she told me the story after this, is that she saw a gray being looking through her window.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, "You're at the wrong house. Jacquelin lives across the street over there." So I really love that she saw one of these beings, after that. So it was really a very special gift. Sacred geometry was all over in the snow. Again, we took some photos, and I put some of those photos in the book. Actually, we took over 1,000 photos, but I just put some key ones in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually created a heart in snow.
Oh.
I mean, when Mary and I went out, nobody had been walking in my yard. And there was this beautiful heart, which is in the book,
mm-hmm.
that they created. And I talked to Barbara Lamb after this had happened. And she said, I really feel these are all gifts the star beings have given you for all that you're doing here on Earth. And so I was like really moved and grateful that I had the opportunity for those experiences.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm envious a bit that you've got these contacts happening to you, and knowing that, like, I've had these experiences where I knew that they were watching over me because I had, people do know my story, but to have at least people watch over you, protect you, that's an amazing gift, to have this much feedback and interconnection with them.
Yes, and I think that's, I'm here, that's why I meant to share it. And that's why I wrote the book, because with those Thanksgiving experiences, they told me they wanted me to write about it and share it even at the time. So I was running in and out of the house that night, typing on my computer what had just happened. And then I'd come in, get warm because it was very cold, drink tea. And then they'd say, go back out. And this went on until 6 a.m.
Wow.
All night long. And they told me to prepare for it. At first, like, I'm going to bed. and then I'm going like, why would I want to do that? Why would I want to miss this? I can do this. I can stay up till 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just thing after thing that happened that was very, very incredible. It was like being in a movie. It really was.
You sent me images of light language, I believe?
Yes, definitely. They are codes, and so those codes, I receive many light language codes. I have hundreds of codes that I have. And so what they do is when I draw them out, they tell me what colors to use. Those codes can be used for all kinds of things. And they will often tell me what the intention is for the code to use. But just one symbol can be compared to a volume or volumes of books for a human, depending on the combinations of things, kinds of things can be created. I love the light language. I love speaking it. I used to speak it on the ship in the star languages all the time. The light language on the ships would come off and go through my body, talk to me, raise my frequencies. I would stick my fingers in them as a little kid and they would just like come off. So I feel like the light star languages are really relevant and really our next evolutionary step, because our souls, our bodies, every cell of our being understands what is being spoken, or someone can look at it on paper, say, this looks really familiar to me. So it really, more people are speaking light language globally. And I do feel it's like part of my mission to be speaking light language and sharing those codes in that. So they're really amazing. They're multidimensional. The light languages bypass the mind ego, which is brilliant because it speaks to our souls, every other level of us, rather than the mind trying to figure out what's going on while it's going on.
Could you share with us a bit of that? Can you?
Sure. And I don't know if you want to show the images or.
Yeah. Like you've sent me 3.
I did.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to share those and then I can speak each one. So
yeah, let's talk with about the healing angels image.
Sure. The healing angels came to me to share the code that they shared with me. And the intention for that drawing is for healing on every level. Like someone can set their intention to heal physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, in whatever way, or for all of those things. And I have these light codes all over my house. I mean, hanging up, because it fills your whole house, those codes. And what people can do too, I have a whole light language store of different codes and cosmic portraits that have codes within them. And, you can put it on your body to help heal you, or the intention is to invite that energy to come and work with you, and then to allow it to work throughout your whole body.
Okay.
That makes sense. Anala hiya kaya natateya, ashaye anaye nakaye la, umataye ke anaya, umakaya, umakari itanahari, udoge tari nahayatai. Ushuku kareta na ye naha, ukuke nahai, ukuteya sukuala, unakaya kaya mahaya kaki, ushukua naha, ude I ina, uplaki I tore, uka ua uute I, shakula I, umataya, umakaye, Nareya, Usalekia, Re, Umatei, Usukuri Tahala, Ushikiyita, Umatayeta. So that was the angels. And I just feel all lit up. They were just sharing. A lot of times they will do this, sending blessings to everyone who might be listening to this. and also just sending healing energies of love and light to everyone who's listening to this. The Pleiadian one is, I love that one. It's for peace, for helping someone to come to a place of peace within themselves. Again, on every level. All these, by the way, help to bring people into alignment with their authentic selves as well, and their authentic self. And so it's also for, I like to use it for praying for the world for peace. And use it for that as well, because the Pleiadians, all star beings I communicate with, are really concerned and care about Earth and all the beings on Earth. So it's a wonderful one for like a group meditation. It can be used in that way as well. And so every stroke I make is from them. I mean, it just like, you know, really those take time to do, because I'm doing it the way they want me to do it, in a very accurate way. And so I think they're beautiful. The Pleiadian one is really beautiful, and I use it often. Again, I have it in my house and look at it often when I'm playing singing bowls and praying for the world.
Beautiful.
Onana kariyeta maha ushuwa aliyana ho ukuku na ye iata ye naha utuwa ye no hoa ye ushuku le umata usuku utiita nahaya ulata ianateya ushikia a ukia nahaya usuku ata umate iata i a sokune unakaya kai umate ikia kaye tanana ushia na ye oto umateya nahaya ulotu ita kaye anaha umashiki ia nahaya ukoi isikia umala ikikia note ia waka uke ia tateyoko ushuku anaha umate I graka unate ushuku unaka ia kayanate una koete umi alaka ukoa unana ute. So what the Pleiadians were bringing through is lots of love and light. First of all, they were just bringing through love and light for everyone. And also in this blessing, sending out peace to everyone who's open to receiving that. And there was also a prayer here for peace for the earth and for all beings, and that how important it is during these times for us to remember that we are all one, and to understand that we are always connected, and that when we look at another, that they are us, and to remember to look at others in that way, that they are us.
It's beautiful. And you can clearly see there's a huge difference in light language between both that you've shared so far. How about the harmony and balance, tall white Zeta Masters?
Yes, this one was actually on the walls of the ship I was on. And these codes are for harmony and balance specifically. And so when that came through, I remembered that those codes were on the ship, and then I knew how, but they also told me how to draw them, and that one's in the book. And so it's, again, with inviting that into us, it helps to bring peace and harmony, through all of our bodies, through all of ourselves.
Is there a speech related for each image?
Well, I just speak the light language that, excuse me, that comes with it in the moment.
Okay.
I haven't tried to write it down, although I might be doing some of that in the future, so that people can say the language with the image. E I O U U La He U U Ana He Na U U Ata U A Ye Ushaka Ia Usuki Inete Nahaya Udaye Ta Se Ne Ye Ha Ho E I O U Loke U La Ula E Ke Ia Hai Ushu Ataya Ula He Uma Ye Ya Ye Ya Lo Ye Isi Ana I U Ka Ye Moka Ena Ukuta Ena Shukula Sukuate Taye Tana Se Usuku Alakai Ukarekia Ushaka Inekiana de Mate Yitanaha Ushuku Alakai Kemi Inokua I Na Usu Una he una he ya hai umakai sa shu ku na ya unate ikare moko la. There's a lot of energy.
Yeah. I could feel that from you.
Woo! So, yes, the
Okay.
whole room is lit up. Okay, so what they were bringing through for people was this beautiful activation and coming into a place of harmony and balance within, and how I could just see all the shifts going on energetically for people who will be listening to this, that the different bodies become more aligned, more balanced, and more in harmony with the whole of who someone is. And this is on the multidimensional level as well. So this is a really great activation for all the multidimensional selves coming in to more balance and harmony.
I got chills.
Wow, yeah, I was just lots of energy flowing through and coming through.
You sent me an audio file of a light language that you wanted me to share with everyone, with the video that I made. Did you want to talk about what I'm going to introduce?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm so excited about this. And so Star Shimmer, I I love co-creating music with the star beings.
Mhm.
And frankly, I'm just at the keyboard, and whatever comes through, comes through. And they choose the synthesizer that they want to use because all of that is frequency, and they know what they want. So what's important to know too is the music with this helps to shift our DNA. Each note is a frequency that we play on the keyboard.
Mhm.
So they know how to put all those frequencies together in a way that helps to, again, help shift the DNA in a positive way with people, and to support them in what the track is about, bringing, like the Star Shimmer, bringing more vitality, rejuvenation, supporting health,
Mm.
just overall well-being. And so then I speak, that was Lyran. I speak the Lyran star language, which with that. So putting together the Lyran music and the Lyran language really gives it a lot of power.
Nole I alaka ina hohai haha ole nahia hia o sa o me ananahi inalo ina ala I odokoe te anaha.
So the image of the tall white Zeta Master, that is a drawing that I did that actually is of my star mom. And I was very close to my star mom and dad, but she and I were very close. And so when I do these drawings and the codes as well, all the energy is there on the page. So if someone puts their hand on the page, they can actually feel all that energy. And again, they're multidimensional. So I've told, I had one person say, when they look at this and they look into the eyes of the drawing, that they start to cry because they feel so much unconditional love.
Mm.
And with that drawing, that's what Amitha was bringing through, was her unconditional love, which is the energy of the tall white Zeta Masters, because they are spiritual guides for other races.
Mhm.
And they're considered elders. And so they are very highly evolved beings. And the codes around Amitha's head are very specific codes from the tall white Zeta Masters, which are all about love and light and joy. So by looking at that, that can activate someone's heart
Mm.
in a big way. And they can also, by looking in the eyes, really they're like portals, so that they could actually travel in other dimensions.
Have you met this person a lot?
The tall white
Yeah.
Zeta Masters?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they're my star parents. Actually, I have that drawing of her in my house, and I look at it all the time.
Okay.
Because her energy then is right here with me.
Okay.
Which is very helpful to me being here on Earth.
Okay. I know we've been at this for almost 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know that time
That was
flies.
fast.
Crazy. Now, Now, just to talk about your book, my research assistant read it, and it's really amazing. It's fairly thick too, so it's really good for those on the fence of not knowing what to buy. This is a really good book if you want to learn more about Jacquelin's story. Now, do you have any closing statement you might want to share with everyone?
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, I want to say, in writing that book, it was very personal for me in that I'm really sharing my heart and my soul. So I really wrote that with my heart and soul. And my intention is to help awaken people and to support experiencers and those who are just interested in the subject to read about it and to be open to it. And I think what I'd like to say is that the star beings, one of their messages, important messages, is for all of us to be respectful of all beings, that we are all equal, and to treat each other that way, to love the earth, to respect the earth, and to also take care of the earth in a much better way than we have. And so they care deeply about the earth, and what we do on earth affects them, affects other star systems of being. So, but that's what they, some of their key messages that they like to share, and also to just remember to be in joy and to radiate that joy outward every day and to all beings.
Oh, that's lovely. Now I know why you're good friends with Robert. You're such a loving person, very caring, and so I really appreciate the fact that you said yes to come on my show. I feel totally blessed, and you've got an amazing story, and it's very beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and I just love that promo you did with Star being holding the book. I've had so many people tell me how much they love that.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. It's just going. It's so great. But yeah, I was really looking forward to meeting you. And Rob had told me what a great guy you were.
You're nice. Great guy. Okay. Yeah. So your book can be purchased on your website.
At my website, if people purchase it through my website, it's autographed. If they get it through Amazon, it is not autographed. Unfortunately, with people in other countries, they need to order it through Amazon because I cannot afford the postage to send it out. So,
okay.
But I'm really excited about the book, and so far getting good feedback about it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much again for coming on. And to those who are watching today's episode, hope you enjoyed it. More interviews coming up. I'm your host, Mr. Great, and I'll see you guys next time. So take care, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Great, and thanks for watching today's episode. If you are an abductee, contactee, or experiencer, and you believe that your story could help others, please feel free to contact me through my YouTube channel email. When it comes to experiencers, the ET phenomena, and the future, remember, truth will out.